welcome back to Friday Reads, where we help you find your next read. I'm Jill.
And I'm Julie, and this week we are talking about books with a wintry setting or theme.
This wintry theme goes along with our winter reading program, Yeti Set Read, which is happening between February 1st and March 1st. The program is open to children and teens and adults. Pick up your bingo cards outside on curbside, or you can go to our website at www.kimberlypubliclibrary.org and download a card from there and start crossing off squares to make bingos.
And when your sheet's complete, you can turn in your completed bingo cards by March 1st to be entered in for prizes. A completed form can include up to 4 bingos and 1 blackout for a total of 5 entries per sheet. 1 bingo card per person.
And you can turn in your bingo sheets to our very hungry Eddie the Yeti here.
All right. Want me to start?
Yeah.
All right, my first pick for our wintry cold setting is called Deep Dark Secrets, and this is written by a Wisconsin native, and it's the first book in the Deep Lakes Cozy Mystery series. So this author embraces her Scandinavian roots, wine tasting and food munching from every culture, and someday she and her husband plan to sell everything, buy an RV, and escape Wisconsin winters. But for now, she's written a series taking place in Wisconsin. So in this book, Francine, known as Frankie Champagne, is a 40-something owner of Bubble and Bake, a bakery by day and a wine lounge by night in the tourist haven of Deep Lakes, which is a small central Wisconsin town in Whitman County. After a fire destroys Frankie's home 5 years ago, she leaves the law firm where she worked as a paralegal and she wants to start over, pursuing her passion for baking and wine tasting. So she partners with her longtime friend, Carmen Martinez. The peacefulness of a Deep Lakes winter is upended, however, when the local pastor is found dead inside his fishing shanty. So Frankie can't resist. She sticks her nose into the investigation. She's got something to prove, maybe to the local newspaper editor who wouldn't hire her as a reporter, maybe to herself, but she wants in. So scraping away layer after layer of information, Frankie discovers the chilling deception that led to the pastor's icing on the lake. So for this cozy mystery, grab your favorite glass of wine, pastry, or both, and settle in for a cozy helping of whodunit with your new friend, Frankie Champagne.
That sounds fun for a winter day.
Yeah, I think so.
So my first choice is I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. This is a Netflix movie that was rated very well by Rotten Tomatoes. Some have had trouble understanding what it means because the book is based on this book, which is a psychological thriller. And it makes you wonder what it all means because there's like weird things that happen, I guess. The movie takes a different path in the book, but the base of the story is the same. The narrator, known only as the girlfriend, is taking a wintry drive with her new boyfriend, Jake, a scientist, to meet his parents at the family farm. As the title implies, she's already thinking of calling it quits. Jake is somewhat strange and fond of philosophizing, though the tendency to speak in abstract is something that unites the pair. The weather outside turns nastier, and the author undercuts the couple's increasingly tense journey with short chapters that imply a crime may have been committed, though the details are vague. Matters don't improve when Jake and the narrator arrive at the farm, a hulking collection of buildings in the middle of nowhere. The meeting with her potential in-laws is as awkward as it is frightening, with Reid expertly needling the reader and the narrator in a state of near-blind panic with every footfall in the basement step. On the drive back, they make a detour to this empty high school, which will take the couple to new heights in the terrifying and bizarre. So, yeah.
Sounds like a heart-pounding thriller.
Yeah, I watched the movie. It was really weird.
Oh, gosh. Okay, and my second pick is The Winter Horses by Philip Kerr. This is a YA novel from the New York Times best-selling author. And the story is, it'll be another cold winter in the Ukraine, but it's 1941 and things are different this year. Max, the devoted caretaker of an animal preserve, must learn to live with the Nazis who have overtaken this precious land. He must also learn to keep secrets, for there is a girl, Kalinka, who is hiding in the park. She has lost her home, her family, her belongings, basically everything but her life. Still, she has gained one small, precious gift, a relationship with the rare and wild Przewalski horses that wander the preserves. You can see her on the cover with the horses. Aside from Max, these endangered animals are her only friends until a Nazi campaign of extermination nearly wipes them out for good. Now she must set out on a treacherous journey across the frozen Ukrainian forest to save the only two surviving horses and herself. This sensitive, inspiring tale captures the power of sacrifice and the endurance of the human spirit. Has a rating of 3.86 on Goodreads. If you enjoy YA historical fiction, this may be a good winter read for you.
So my next one is the first book in a Badlands thriller series. So if you like it, there are some follow-up books for you. It's called Whiteout by Danielle Gerard. It's another driving in the snow thing. After surviving a car accident in an icy road in Hagen, North Dakota, Lily Baker regains consciousness with no idea where or who she is. Scattered Bible verses and the image of a man lying in a pool of blood haunt her memory. The same night of the accident, a young woman is murdered and tossed in a dumpster. Kylie Milliard, Hagen's only detective, doesn't immediately recognize the victim, but Kylie soon discovers that Lily and the dead woman share a dark past. If only Lily could remember what it was. Lily and Kylie both want answers, but Kylie has to play by the book. Lily has to play it safe, and the more Lily learns about her identity, the more she fears the truth. So she gets in an accident, can't remember who she is, and it's cold.
My third pick is called Ada Blackstock, A True Story of Survival in the Arctic by Jennifer Niven. This is a nonfiction read from the author of The Ice Master. And in this story, it's September 1921. 4 young men and Ada Blackjack, a diminutive 25-year-old Eskimo woman, venture deep into the Arctic in a secret attempt to colonize desolate Wrangel Island for Great Britain. 2 years later, Ada Blackjack emerged as the sole survivor of this ambitious polar expedition. This young, unskilled woman, who had headed to the Arctic in search of money and a husband, conquered the seemingly unconquerable North and survived all alone after the male companions had perished. Following her triumphant return to civilization, the international press proclaimed her the female Robinson Crusoe. But whatever stories the press turned out came from the imagination of reporters. Ada Blackjack refused to speak to anyone about her horrific 2 years in the Arctic. Only on one occasion, after charges were published falsely, accusing her of causing the death of one of her companions, did she begin to speak up for herself. So Jennifer Niven, the author, created an absorbing, compelling history of this remarkable woman, taking full advantage of the wealth of first-hand resources about Ada that exist, including her never-before-seen diaries, the unpublished diaries from other primary characters, and interviews with Ada Blackjack's surviving son. It's more than a rugged tale of a woman battling the elements to survive in the frozen North. It is the story of a true hero.
Cool.
Yeah, that sounded like a good one.
So if you think it's hard to get through a winter in Wisconsin, you should think about what it would be like to go through a winter in Alaska. Ernst Albright, this is Kristen Hanna's The Great Alone. Very popular novel.
Like that book a lot.
A lot of you probably already read it. Ernst Albright, former POW, comes home from the Vietnam War a changed and volatile man. When he loses yet another job, he makes an impulsive decision. He will move his family north to Alaska, where they will live off the grid in America's last true frontier. 13-year-old Lenny, a girl coming of age in a tumultuous time, caught in the riptide of her parents' passionate stormy relationship, dares to hope the new land will lead to a better future for her family. She is desperate for a place to belong. Her mother, Cora, will do anything to go anywhere for the man she loves, even if it means following him into the unknown. At first, Alaska seems to answer to their prayers. In a wild, remote corner of the state, they find a fiercely independent community of strong men and even stronger women. The long, sunlit days and generosity of the locals make up for the Albrights' lack of preparation and dwindling resources. As the winter approaches and darkness descends on Alaska, Ernst's fragile mental state deteriorates and the family begins to fracture. Soon the perils outside pale in comparison to the threats from within. In their small cabin covered in snow, blanketed in 18 hours of night, Lenny and her mother learn the terrible truth. They are on their own, in the wild, where there is no one to save them but themselves. So yeah, this one's real popular. People like it a lot. And yeah, 18 hours of darkness in a cabin.
That would get to me.
Yeah.
My next pick is a crime thriller, and this is called Winter at the Door by Sarah Graves. If you're fans of Lisa Gardner or Linda Castillo, this might be one for you. In this book, moving from Boston to remote Bear Kill, Maine isn't homicide cop Lizzie Snow's idea of a step up in the world. Her dead sister's fate torments her, as does her long-missing niece's disappearance. Lizzie hopes to find the mysteriously vanished child here amid the coming ice and snow. But in the great North Woods, something much darker and more dangerous than punishing winter is also bound for Bear Kill. The town is a world apart in more than distance, full of people who see everything, say little, and know more than they'll share with an outsider coming into town. The only exceptions are the handsome state cop who once badly broke Lizzie's heart and desperately wants another chance, and Lizzie's new boss, Sheriff Cody, who's counting on her years of homicide experience to help him solve his most troubling case before it's too late. Sarah Graves, the author, is the pen name of American mystery and crime novelist Mary Squibb. You may be familiar with her popular book series Home Repair is Homicide, which follows transplanted New Yorker Jake Tiptree and her friend Ellie White as they solve murders in Eastport, Maine, all while she repairs her century-old house. If you're looking for a different book by Sarah Graves, check out this one, Winter at the Door.
So my next one is for the sports fans out there, specifically hockey. It's Baretown by Frederick Bachman. People say Baretown is finished. A tiny community nestled deep in the forest, it's slowly losing ground to the ever-encroaching trees. But down by the lake stands an old ice rink built generations ago by the working men who founded this town. And in that ice rink is the reason people in Baretown believe tomorrow will be better than today. Their junior ice hockey team is about to compete in the national semifinals, and they actually have a shot at winning. All the hopes and dreams of this place now rest on the shoulders of a handful of teenage boys, which you can see the problem here. Being responsible for the hopes of the entire town is a heavy burden, and the semifinal match is the catalyst for a violent act that will leave a young girl traumatized in a town of turmoil. Accusations are made, and like ripples in a pond, they travel through all of Baretown, leaving no resident unaffected. Baretown explores the hopes that bring a small community together, the secrets that tear it apart, and the courage to take for an individual to go against the grain. In this story of a small forest town, Frederick Bachman has found the entire world. He's a popular author.
That's on my wish list to read. I've had several family members read it and liked it a lot. So
And there's a follow-up book to it too, I believe.
yeah. So, and my last pick is one that's probably many of you are familiar with. This is John Krakauer's Into Thin Air, which is another nonfiction pick for the winter. A bank of clouds was assembling on the not-so-distant horizon, but journalist mountaineer John Krakauer, standing on the summit of Mount Everest, saw nothing that suggested that a murderous storm was bearing down. But he was wrong. Krakauer's Into Thin Air is the true story of a 24-hour period on Mount Everest when members of 3 separate expeditions were caught in a storm and faced a battle against hurricane-force winds, exposure, and the effects of altitude, which ended in the worst single-season death toll in the peak's history. Krakauer's book is at once the story of the ill-fated adventure and an analysis of the factors leading up to its tragic end. Written within months of the events it chronicles, Into Thin Air clearly evokes the majestic Mount Everest landscape. This book was one of the inspirations for the major motion picture Everest, starring Jake Gyllenhaal. And my Yeti connection for this book is 1951, a British explorer named Eric Shipton, looking for an alternative route up Mount Everest, found some large footprints. He took pictures, and the mystery of the Yeti, a Sherpa word for wild man, cast a spell over the world. Legends assert that an animal, much like humans, inhabits the snows around Mount Everest. Turning the legends to serious inquiry are these footprints. Many have searched for the Yeti and keep the Yeti alive as both an icon and an idol.
I wish I would have chosen more books with Yetis in them. It was not easy. This next one is The Arctic Fury by Greer McAllister. This is a newer book. In early 1853, experienced California trail guide Virginia Reeve is summoned to Boston by a mysterious benefactor who offers her a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to lead a party of 12 women into the wild, hazardous Arctic to search for the lost Franklin expedition. It's an extraordinary request, but the party is made up of extraordinary women. Each brings her own strengths and skills to the expedition and her own unsettling secrets. A year and a half later, back in Boston, Virginia is on trial, but not all the women return. Told in alternating timelines that follow both the sensational murder trial in Boston and the dangerous, deadly progress of the women's expedition into the frozen north, this heart-pounding story will hold readers wrapped as a chorus of voices answer the trail's all-consuming question: what happened out there on the ice? So, Arctic Fury.
Sounds like a good one.
Well, thanks for watching, and we hope we gave you some good ideas on what to read next.
Don't forget to like or share our video and comment below to let us know what you are reading during this cold Wisconsin winter. And certainly come in and participate in our Yeti Set Read reading program. Eddie the Yeti would love to see you. Thanks for watching.
Bye.